morning and welcome to Planet in the Word. This week, if you're reading along with us chronologically, you have reached week 44. And in this week's reading, you are going to read Luke 19, 1 through 9, which for any Sunday school product, we know that is the story of Zaccheus. Years and years ago, on my first trip to Israel, I had a very interesting tour guide. His family actually predated Israel's statehood. So he had a lot of amazing things to add as we were touring through the land of Israel. And today's lesson is a product of some of the things that he said, which really planted the seed for my interest in looking behind the overt meaning in scriptures to sometimes going back and looking for the covert meaning. It was something that he said on a bus ride that really planted that seed and bloomed into what we've got going on here today. And I'll share that with you in just a minute, but it all had to do with this passage about Zaccheus. So let's talk about the things that we know. First of all, Jesus proceeded into and was passing through Jericho when he comes upon Zaccheus. And we know that Zaccheus was a chief tax collector and that he was very wealthy, and that he was not a tall man. It says he was small in stature. And in addition, it says that they called him, most likely meaning the crowds around Jesus, they called him a sinner, mostly because tax collectors could charge a fee in addition to the taxes that they were collecting for Rome, and they got to keep that fee. Probably why Zaccheus was considered a very wealthy man. And it says that Zaccheus climbed up a tree because he wanted to get the Lord's attention. And the Lord tells him, I'm coming to your house today. But a very interesting thing happens on the way, before even any meal happens. Zaccheus says to Jesus, I am repenting for what I've done. I'm going to pay back anyone 4 times what I've taken. And in addition to that, I'm going to give half of all I own to the poor. And that is the basic story. But there is a component that is unique that we don't necessarily see because we are a modern Western world reading an ancient Eastern book. And this is what the tour guide in Israel told us. He said, you miss half the story of Zaccheus because you don't speak Hebrew. And that really got me to thinking, what's going on here in the Hebrew that we're not seeing because we don't speak the language? Well, in all honesty, the New Testament is written not in Hebrew, but in Greek. But if we go back and we look at these words and what they translate into the Hebrew, a larger picture is being painted. First of all, Zaccheus climbs up a sycamore tree. Now in Greek, that isn't anything unique. But in Hebrew, it's the word, let me get this correct, it's the word shikma. Now, shikma does mean probably a sycamore tree, maybe a variant of a ficus, or possibly that of a variant of a fig tree. But what's important here is the root word. And the root word of shikma is shachem. Now, shachem is the same as the word Shechem, which you will recognize from the Old Testament as being a location. But in addition to that, this word, not just as a location, but as a verb, means something completely different. As a verb, this word actually means to get up. But it means to get up in a manner that is, you are all in on this. You are devoted to it. You get up over and over and over again. So that the inferred meaning, and in modern Hebrew, it can be translated as rehabilitation, or to restore, or to turn away from, in a sense, sort of repent, and that turning away ideology there. So what we get if we look into the Hebrew of this story is Zaccheus doesn't climb up just any tree. He climbs up the tree of rehabilitation. The very tree he climbs up is conveying to Jesus that he is ready to do something different, that he is ready to change his life around. And this is why Jesus talks about him entering salvation and that his sins have been forgiven. So I hope that gives you a better insight into what's going on here and an added piece of information that helps you to understand a lot of times maybe we're not getting as broad a picture or as layered a picture as it is occurring in the Hebrew and the original languages that these books are written in. I hope you find that interesting. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye-bye.